And we're live. Hey there, everybody. I'm John Laspina, your carnivore teacher, and I'm here with Juliet and George and our special guest, Rachel. I said it right. No, I didn't. I got it wrong. See, you planted the thought in my head.
Hey there,
I wouldn't have done
I'm
that.
John,
It's
your carnivore
Rebecca.
teacher, and I'm here with Juliet.
So welcome, Rebecca. Anyway, this is Carnivore Sunday School. We had just had a little discussion before we went live about our names. And Rebecca was saying, and Juliet and Rebecca were saying how people always call her Rachel instead of Rebecca. And I thought to myself, I didn't say it out loud. I thought, oh, I won't make that mistake. And you planted the thought in my head. And I honestly, it just came right out of my mouth. I'm so sorry.
This is the joys of live broadcasting.
Anyway, so Rebecca is our special guest, and she's in Spain. Is that correct, Rebecca?
Yep. Yeah,
I don't think we've had anybody on here from in Spain at the moment. It looks beautiful out there. So we're so glad to have you here. We're going to do our little brief intro where we go clockwise and tell our audience, because there's often people who come here for the very first time. They don't know who we are or what we're doing here. So we just do a brief intro of who we are and how we became carnivore, just a quickie, and then we'll get to our special guest. And we'll start with Juliet and go clockwise.
Hi, I'm Juliet Edens. I've been carnivore about 18 months now. It's crazy. It seems like yesterday. I reversed type 2 diabetes. I am off high blood pressure medication, IBD medication, and eventually I slowly weaned off antidepressants medication and anti-anxiety medication. So I'm just loving this life, and I'm sticking with carnivore.
Good for you. I'm John Laspina, carnivore teacher alpha. I've been carnivore for a little over 3 years. Before that, I was low carb for a few years. And I too got off some medicines. I was on 2 medicines with a lot of side effects for atrial fibrillation. I haven't gone into AFib in a long, long time. I think carnivore has healed the chambers in my heart. It's nice not being on meds. It really is. You save money and you don't have to think about taking the pill every day. And, you know, they all have side effects, and they're not, you know, sometimes you need them. Sometimes if you're dieted, if you're healthy, a lot of times we can get off of these medicines. So anyway, I'm 60. George always tells his age. So I figure I'll tell my age. I'm 60 and a half, and I live in Boca Raton, Florida, and I'm happy to be here. George?
Okay, so my name is George Goodenough. I am 60 years of age, 6 weeks younger than the headmaster, John. And as you can tell from my accent, I come from England. I come from a very small town in the southwest of England called Bridgewater in the county of Somerset. And nobody ever in the carnivore world will ever have heard of the town of Bridgewater in Somerset, because I'm the only carnivore in the village. Well, that might not be the truth, actually, but we shall wait and see. So my journey started on, yeah, Rebecca's laughing. My journey started on March the 1st of 2022 when I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and morbid obesity and high triglycerides, metabolic syndrome. The doctors wrote me off, gave me metformin and statins prescription. A nurse kindly told me that all carbs are sugar. I threw away the metformins and statins. Went and did a bit of research, discovered first low carb, then keto, and then eventually transitioned to carnivore on September the 11th of 2023, thanks to a mutual friend of mine and John's called Larry Allhands, a carnivore soldier, who shamed me into it. And since then, I have totally reversed type 2 diabetes to the point where the National Health Service here in England tells me I'm cured. And I have dropped from 293 pounds down to around 175 I float around that time now, and my triglycerides are very low, and I've healed myself. Many other problems as well, and so yeah, that is my elevator story. So over to you, Rebecca.
All right, Rebecca, your turn.
Well, hi. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I'm Rebecca. I'm 45 years old, and I grew up in Bridgewater, where George is from. So. We have this weird little connection.
We have this connection. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have been carnivore for just about 3 years now. And what it's done for me is completely reversed my multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2016. I was essentially disabled by the symptoms. and I subsequently moved to Spain and started on this natural healing journey, which eventually led me to the carnivore diet. And I had made some improvements just by changing my environment and my lifestyle. But when I started carnivore, my symptoms vanished and my strength returned, and I've been symptom free ever since. So yeah,
That's fantastic. We've had a guest on here who had also not resolved, but have put their MS into remission. So I would love to get into that a little deeper with you, with our hour. And guests, if you're listening, you have questions for Rebecca. I had to make sure I said her name right. I looked right down. Please type a QQQ in the comment, type your question or comment so that she can answer it, or maybe one of the moderators here, we can answer them as well.
Yeah. Quick question for you, John. The guest in question, who resolved her MS, that was Diane Ladd, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes.
And
yes.
Rebecca is
good
actually
friend of mine.
Oh,
Yeah,
she's
we're
your
friends.
friend. Oh, then you know who
Yeah.
I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I love Diane.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, she's from, I think, Boston. Am I right?
The
Yeah,
Boston
Yep,
Carnivore. She
got
calls
that.
Boston
herself.
Carnivore.
Yeah. All right. So let's just jump right into it. Can you tell us about first, when were you diagnosed with MS? What was it like? What were your symptoms? And just take us on that journey to finding carnivore and finding relief.
Yeah. So it was April 2016. Many people have like a build-up of symptoms which kind of lead to their first relapse. I didn't. For me, it was pretty much completely out of the blue. The nerve failed in my eye. And I was in the final year of my PhD, so I was really going for it. And, you know, I just was working extremely hard and kind of looking forward to a future in academia. And then all of a sudden, I was in hospital being tested for a brain tumor, which happily came back negative. But they gave me an MRI scan 3 days later and confirmed that I had demyelination on my brain, which is the immune system attacking the myelin sheathing around the nerve fibers in the brain. So that's when they told me, we're basically looking at MS, but we won't diagnose you until you have further symptoms or a further brain scan which shows more activity or another relapse of nerve failure. So I had to wait another 8 months. And then I was officially diagnosed. I think it was December 2016. So then it was like a real struggle to finish my PhD. I was absolutely desperate to do that. So for about 6 months, I had to extend by 6 months, and I managed to get it in. And then I just completely crashed, and I didn't basically get off the sofa for about 3 years.
Wow.
You know, I was so ill. 2 or 3 years where I was using mobility aids, including a wheelchair. I was so tired that it would be a good day if I managed to have a shower. I would be on my hands and knees in the shower. I would have to rest after the shower. I had nausea. I had balance issues. I had bladder issues. It's hard to remember because it feels like another world. It feels like it couldn't have been real, but it was very real. And I was injecting every day with a medication called Copaxone, which didn't help my symptoms. The idea of it was to slow the progression of the disease up to a certain percentage in the future, maybe. But there was no guarantee of that and no way of knowing if it had ever worked, because you can't compare your case to anybody else's. So it just never felt like a very good deal. And they were extremely painful injections. The substance, when you injected it, was like, well, Diane described it as like battery acid. She was on the same thing. And it really was. It would like hurt so much for an hour that I'd be writhing in pain, you know, unable to walk. And it wasn't my favorite time of my life, to put it mildly. And I was isolated. I was very isolated. You know, it's a very lonely existence. Your world becomes much, much smaller. And you're told by the medical professionals that it's forever. That's it. This is your life now. So I just watched my life fall through my fingers like sand. And then Brexit happened, and I suddenly thought, right, well, if I am going to stand a chance of maybe getting well again, I would like to leave England, because England's cold and rainy and expensive, and there were just so many reasons why it was not working for me as somebody who was now not working and needed to, I was thinking of living off grid and living more cheaply, living off the land, getting more sunshine, much more natural life in the mountains. And everything came together, and Brexit basically pushed me to leave. Before I'd really got very well enough to move country, I left because I had to, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to. So I moved up a mountain in Spain and I spent 4 years on the mountain, and that's when the pandemic hit. Have I gone on a massive tangent? You asked me how it started, and I'm now at the pandemic.
No, you followed a logical step of how you did this in time. It was very sequential, very chronological.
Okay,
Keep going.
Okay, so I spent the pandemic on the mountain, which was like winning the lottery. It was crazy. Although I had been on lockdown in my own body for years, so it kind of felt like now everybody else was on. It was surreal. And it was after the pandemic ended, so it was in, where are we now, 2026. It was in 2023, springtime 2023, that I decided to just give the carnivore diet a whirl. You know, I had heard about it about a year before from YouTube, and I as I've said in many interviews and on my channel, it was Kelly Hogan. I seen an interview with Kelly Hogan, and it just stuck in my mind as an anomaly. What a strange thing. This lady only ate meat, and she's doing amazing. Like, it just stuck in my mind. And then because I'd watched it on YouTube suggested more carnivore stories, and so every now and again I would just click on one of them. I wasn't doing too badly physically at this point, because being on the mountain had been the best thing for me to do for my peace of mind and for my body. But I was still living very much a restricted life. I found it hard to be out and about and to live off grid, because it's quite physically demanding. So the energy that I did get back, and the stamina that returned to me from dog walking on the mountain was kind of just got spent immediately on chopping firewood, or, you know, doing whatever you have to do on the mountain. And so I was kind of in this weird state of like, well, I've done the right thing, I'm in the right place, but like I still have MS. And then one day I just decided to start the diet. My diet had gone downhill before I started it. Because of being on the mountain, it was just not very convenient to go out and get ingredients because I'd been following a different diet which was specific to MS, which required sort of more vegan. It was near vegan, but like it meant lots of flavors and, you know, herbs and spices and things to make it more interesting. All of that was just harder to get hold of in Spain and more of an effort. So I just reverted back to like frozen pizzas, you know, and pasta, you know, whatever was easiest. And so my diet was absolutely terrible leading up to starting carnivore. And it was starting to show as well. I'd started to bloat up, you know, I'd hit 40 by that point, and, you know, I was starting to notice. And I think that's why I started it, rather than thinking, oh, I think this will cure my MS. I think I just wanted to get to lose weight a bit and feel sort of look as healthy as the people I was seeing on YouTube looked, you know. And so I just started the diet. I was in a rural area. I'm in a rural area, as you can see, and it's a farming area. So it's really good quality beef around here. So I just thought, well, you know, this is all coming together quite nicely. So I just started the diet. And within a month, like 3 weeks, my strength returned and my brain fog disappeared. My memory started to improve. And it was just, it was a miracle. It was noticeable to other people as well, that my body and my brain had snapped back into place. And I've just been on this journey ever since. Like, I had more things to heal, a lot of psychological elements of what had happened the previous years. So I think a lot of my journey has been getting emotional resilience and healing a lot of the trauma, as you know, beyond the symptoms. But yeah, it's been, and I managed to come off all medication, including marijuana, because I was smoking it medicinally for a long time. And when my symptoms disappeared, I continued to smoke it because I was hooked. And I think it was an emotional crutch as much as anything for a while. But about a year and a half ago, I managed to cut that out as well. So I'm completely drug free, which I'm really proud of. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
No, that is a great
Yeah.
place to be. That is
Mm.
wonderful.
Mm.
Juliet, George, any thoughts pop to mind? I have lots of questions, but I want to hog
Yes.
everything.
And
Yeah,
and maybe not. Oh, sorry.
No, you,
No,
you go first, Juliet, and
Maybe
I'll
not
follow.
a smart question, but so as your symptoms like diminished, got better, do the markers in the brain for MS change at all?
Mm.
Or does that kind of remain the same, and that's why you always have the diagnosis, even though symptoms could be really diminished? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because they don't understand exactly how it all correlates. They being the neurologists, the people who are the experts, they don't actually understand MS. They can't tell you why it started. They can't tell you how to cure it. They can't tell you what the lesions in your brain mean as regards to your symptoms. You might have lots and lots of lesions on your brain and very few symptoms, or you might have a few lesions in some strategic locations that disable you. So it's not actually as straightforward as my symptoms reversed and the lesions disappeared. Although, and I'm in a situation where I'm still trying to get that information, because I have moved house a couple of times, and that means that, and I'm in the state system. I don't have private health insurance because it's too expensive with my diagnosis. So I'm in the state system. It's a good system. I'm getting adequate care, but there's no communication between the different regions. So I don't have a clear picture of the progression of my disease. And it was the same situation in England. And I also moved house a few times there as well. So I don't have a picture of my disease over the past 10 years of how it's progressed, because I don't have all the scans. They weren't sent to the ongoing hospital, if that makes sense. So the point being that I did have a brain scan last year, which appeared to show that my lesions were not active. And that was obviously a very wonderful outcome to have. And, I put up a video about it on my channel. And then I had an MRI scan this year or late last year. And my neurologist told me that there had been new lesions. And I said, really? I thought that they weren't active. But it turns out that he was comparing this more recent scan to an older scan that was before the one where the lesions weren't active. It's complicated to explain, but because the communication isn't there and the sequential information isn't there, and I've moved house twice and to one area and then back to the same area again. He was comparing it to a scan from 3 years ago before I started the diet. So those new lesions might not have happened in the past year or the past 3 years. They might have happened before I started the diet. What I need them to do is compare the scan from the other region, which they haven't looked at, which was the year ago, which they told me there was no active lesions, with this most recent scan, so that we know that if there actually have been new lesions or if they're still not active or not, and there's no progression. So there's not a succinct way to answer that, but really what it comes down to for me is, if I don't have symptoms and I'm living my life as a fully healthy person, I don't really care if I have lesions on my brain. I mean, the neurologists are telling me that I'm shoving my head in the sand. But I've heard a theory that maybe lots of people have got lesions on their brain. They just don't have MRI scans and find out.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't know. I doubt everything they're telling me. That I might be wrong to do that, and I wouldn't advocate that to other people, but I don't take MS medication, and I don't really take on board what they're saying, because they're telling me about something that they don't understand. They don't know why it started. They don't know how to fix it. They don't know why the lesions are there or what they're doing. Well, they know what causes the lesions, but they don't know how they correlate to your symptoms or not. So they don't understand it. So, and they haven't given me anything that make my symptoms go away the way Carnivore did. you know, that. So I'm just following my own path on that, and maybe I'm taking a risk not having the medication. But as Juliet, as you were saying, you know, medications, they come with side effects. You know, they're not just a magic pill, you know, or that's invisible or doesn't have an effect. It's heavy and it has an impact, and I don't want it if I don't feel like I need it. So that's
Great answer. Thank
Yeah.
you. That helps a lot. George, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Rebecca, obviously, Lainey and myself follow you very closely because we feel that attachment to you because you're a home girl for us, really. I think I told you that I had my stag night in your local pub in Moorland.
The Thatcher's Arms.
Exactly, that's right. Yes, we really are. We really are neighbours, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Lainey and myself, what we'd like to talk about, really, what Lainey's actually asked the question, and I'm going to carry it on and add a little bit, is less about the MS because you're virtually out of it now, from what we can see, and more about your chosen lifestyle and your future. Because MS is no longer the problem that it was, and it's enabled you to start a new lifestyle. Now, for those who don't know Rebecca, she is living on a mountain in Spain. You can see the mountains in the background there, in a cabana, which is a little cabin en español, in Spanish. And she is setting up as a smallholder, or in other words, a homesteader, as I think the States know it. So Lady and myself would like to know how that's going, what the future plans are, and I would like to add in a little question about Spanish culture. What is the meat purchasing like in Spain? What is the accessibility, and what is the most common meat? And what is your if you had to choose one meat to live on, what would it be? It's a discussion point. So go ahead, Rebecca, and let us know how it's going.
Okay, well, yes, I am on a mountain. It's not the original mountain that I moved to. I've moved house to a different mountain. Long story, not worth going into, but I've moved to a new mountain. And I have, this is it. This is the homestead. I mean, you can't see most of it, obviously, in this shot, but you can see the general environment. And I'm yet to set it up, but the idea is that I will have sheep and chickens and possibly ducks as well, and I'm so excited about it. I'm just like, this is the thing is, for me, one element of the diet that has been difficult has been the cost of it, and I believe that I'm in a good place to live a life where I can more sustainably be on the diet. And it's obviously not just cost, it's the fact that often you don't know where supermarket meat has come from, what's gone into the animals, what life they've lived, you know. It's harder to get a hold of ethically sourced meat, and then it'll often be more expensive. So I'm just very mindful of all of these things. I've managed to organize this new place to move to, and I'm in the process right now. It's actually the first time I've stayed here by myself overnight. Is tonight. I've stayed in the place with other people, with someone else, but not on my own. So this is my first time on my own here with my dogs, staying a couple of nights here. And the idea is I'm going to fix the fences so that I can get the sheep here. I've sourced some sheep and I will get them here as soon as possible. And then I will feel much happier because I want to be able to produce my own food on like, and to be honest, I'm happy to grow vegetables as well because I just enjoy growing vegetables. So I'm potentially open to becoming more keto in the future if it doesn't have an impact on my health. I'm going to test that. I'll also, you know, there's no harm in growing vegetables and trading them or selling them, you know. So I'm really excited about the whole lifestyle. And your question, George, about meat in Spain. So it's a very meat-based country, I would say. I think it's harder for vegans. Like veganism is creeping in. But it's kind of you move here and like you say you're living in a cabin and people go, "Oh, you're not one of those vegans, are you?" And I'm like, no, I'm actually not, you know. So they kind of pigeonhole you into, you're the type that lives in nature and you're vegan and you're foreign. You've come with all your vegan idea. Anyway, it's actually, people tend to respond quite well when I say I'm carnivore. People tend to, you know, support that here. And I would say that the depends what region of Spain you're in as to what meat you find more commonly. So I'm in an area where it's very much beef based. It's a cow region, but like in the south of Spain you'll get more sheep. So but as Spain as a whole is very pork loving, massive pork loving, pork of all kinds except bacon. It's like the one kind of pork that I eat is bacon. It's like the one type that I like, but it's the one type that is not very nice here. You won't get good bacon, but they'll do everything else. You know, it's really funny. But yeah, and I don't actually like pork that much. In answer to your other question, George, my favorite meat by a long shot is lamb or mutton. Actually, I sheep. Sheep is 100% my favorite.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I find beef. Of course it's nice. Of course it's beef that got me well again. So it didn't occur to me to buy lamb because you don't really find it around here. So it was beef all the way for quite some time. So I obviously have a place in my heart for beef, but I would never keep cows. I just think they're too big, and I don't know, what do I do with a cow, you know?
That's true.
And so it's partly that I would like to keep sheep, but also I just really like the flavor. I think beef in comparison is a bit more tasteless compared to lamb.
Lacks the taste of that.
Yeah, like some people don't like the taste of lamb because it's too strong. They say it's too gamey, but I happen to love it. So lamb is my favorite. Yeah. And I'm planning to keep sheep.
Absolutely. That was kind of a loaded question because I guessed you were going to say lamb. And if I had to actually choose one meat, it would be lamb for the rest of my life. And our neighbour, Lauren from Shepton Mallet, she was on last week and she also said it was lamb that saved her. Now, the reason it's loaded is because our co-host Juliet is coming to visit us here in Bridgewater in the summer for a week's holiday with her husband.
Really?
Yes, she has never eaten lamb. And
really?
Yes, really. And she is a bit worried about it all because we are going to introduce her to lamb.
I'm worried I won't like it. So yes, I'm happy to try lamb. People love it, but George keeps sending me pictures. We're having lamb for breakfast, lamb for lunch, lamb. I ate 3 meals, lamb for dinner, and I was like, George, wife, I don't like it though. Wife, that's the only part I was a little bit nervous about. So when he asked you the question, I'm like, here we go with the lamb. You don't have to sell me because everyone that's tried it seems to love it.
Some people don't. I've met an old lady here that I had a long chat with at a barbecue who was really upset that I said I liked lamb. She was like, it's disgusting, it tastes horrible. And I was like, what's wrong? Well, okay. Some people don't like it. I don't know why, but maybe it's an acquired taste, although it's not too crazy, the change from lamb to beef. It's still, and what's nice about lamb is it's very fatty. That's lovely about lamb. Succulent and fatty.
And I've had like venison, which is deer around here. So, I've tried multiple meats and enjoy them. But we do have a question. Let's see. Somebody want to read that? Because
I'll read that. Rebecca, you spoke of being in your last year in medical school when you got the first symptoms. Did you graduate from medical school? Or if you did, are you doing anything with that degree now?
I wasn't in medical school. I was doing a PhD, so I was getting the title doctor, but
that kind of PhD,
not in medicine. So I did finish it by the skin of my teeth. I finished it. I'm very proud to say that I managed, even while going down with MS, I managed to graduate. So, but then I didn't go on into a career because I was too sick. And if you don't publish anything and you don't keep it up, publish or perish. That's what they say. So I perished.
Okay. Yeah, if I could just comment on that question. Firstly, it was from Barbara, Grandma's Crochet Corner, who puts your story to song.
Yeah.
If you remember, I said that was Barbara who just asked that question.
Yeah, I realized actually. Yeah.
Absolutely. And secondly, I should point out that I happen to know that you are a professional interpreter, a translator. So languages are your thing. You speak Spanish and French, I believe. Is that those your two? Yeah. Yeah,
I'm not a professional interpreter. Interpreting is when, like, the ones in the UN who have the headphones.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm the same.
Full on.
I have the title of a class 1 translator in military Arabic. We've spoken much in the past about this, and I also speak French.
Fascinating.
So yeah, I do understand. I thought you might have been an interpreter. No, but yeah, I understand.
I've trained in interpreting. I have done I did a module or two in interpreting, but then I was like, well, I'm not doing that. That sounds crazy.
No, yeah, I mean, the thing is, you have to, as a conversation is unfolding, you have to simultaneously translate both ways.
Yeah,
whereas,
very, very.
But as a translator, but if you give me or Rebecca a tape or a book or something that we can translate, then we can give you an idiomatic translation of that book. But interpreting is an entirely different skill. It really helps to be properly bilingual if you want to be an interpreter.
Oh yeah, and technical terms and But also, I would say I wouldn't even call myself a professional translator these days. AI's come along.
Yeah, it's very true.
Wiped it out.
Yeah.
So I'm a shepherdess now. I'm a shepherdess.
Yeah,
that's my
I'm
job.
the same. I found it easier rather than try and chase work in the foreign language world or the teaching world. I now run a gate for a construction site down in Taunton, actually, currently, Rebecca. And the hydrographic department, I don't know if you remember it. But it's just easy. It's an easy way of making money 10 miles from my house that, it gives me the necessary ready cash to be part of this community and also become part of the international community, because I will be going to America this year. And I went to America last year. So it's an easy option, low hanging fruit, you might say, rather than trying to chase the academic world. So that's true. You're a shepherdess. I'm a gatekeeper. So, there we go.
Funny how life goes.
It is, isn't it? It's really, really quite weird. Yes.
But I like to use my languages. I'm very happy to be living in Spain and to kind of recuperate my Spanish, because when I got MS, I was at risk of losing it completely. It's your brain fog and isolation. So it's been very gratifying since going carnivore to feel how my Spanish also came back stronger. And I've been, and it's good for your brain actually to have another language. It's good exercise for your brain. Keeps dementia away.
Oh, I need to learn many languages immediately. I'm the oldest here. Crash course.
I'm learning Turkish now. That's my latest
gosh.
one. Yeah.
I love languages. I think languages are fascinating. I am only fluent in English, but I know a lot of phrases and words and a lot of other languages. I love dialects and accents. I find sound very interesting to me. Yes.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family that my both sides, grandparents, parents spoke Lithuanian, but they never taught us kids. So I only know the bad words when they were.
Same with Italian here.
That's not helpful. Okay, this is a dumb question. Your background, I say that all the time. It's a great question. Let me rephrase that. Your background's beautiful. Can I ask, is that your view every day? Are you in your backyard or I just would love to hear a little more what it's like there. Do you have a grocery store down the street? How is it there? I'm just darn curious. I'm picturing you on this mountain with two other people, and maybe that's not correct.
Well, two dogs right now, two personalities are here with me. This is my view. This is literally my view from my house. I don't want to pick up the camera and move it around because it's my laptop and it will just mess with things. But this is my view. To me, this is more populated than what I'm used to. It's actually there's life all around. I can hear cockerels crowing, donkeys braying, dogs barking. And when it gets dark, which it will in about an hour, I'll see lights all over the slopes, because it's actually quite highly populated compared to the first mountain I lived on, which was more isolated. This one is it's just a little cabin, and it's got land which is fenced. I don't know what to say really, and there's no shop. There's no store. I have to drive down, and I had to wait until I could buy a 4x4 to move here. And I had to put solar panels in. So I've now got electricity that they're installed, and I've got spring water. So I've got water and it's gas for the stove. So I've got gas, water and electricity now. And I bought a little 4x4, which is surprisingly hard to come by in this mountainous area because everyone wants to buy them. No one wants to sell them. So it took me a while, but I got one, very happy. And I have to drive up a track to get here, and that track is in a terrible state. It's really, that's the thing that makes it inaccessible, is the track, although it's less than a kilometer, so if you had to, you could just walk down and get to a proper road. But yeah, it's quite, because of the track, you know, there's no passing traffic, there's no neighbors here, and it's actually got very good phone signal, which you may consider a good thing or not, but for something like this, that's great. And I'm only half an hour from Oviedo, which is a big city, so that's why this area is actually quite populated for being rural. 20 minutes down the road is a national park called Redes National Park, and that is something out of this world. Like, part of me wants to be living there, but then you've got the isolation factor, which isn't quite so bad here. You know, I'm half an hour from the city while also having no neighbors and beautiful views. So it's like, you know, it's hard to get the dream without the complications of access and isolation and signal and this and you know, distance to the nearest store, you know. So I feel like this place is kind of the sweet spot. Yeah, but to me, this doesn't feel isolated. This feels really populated.
Do you have you have well water? How is your water?
Spring water. Yeah.
Spring water. Okay.
Yeah, from the mountain. Yeah.
From the mountain. Oh my goodness, I bet that tastes great.
I wish.
It sounds like paradise. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm so used to living in paradise now in Asturias, because every corner of Asturias is a different little corner of paradise, you know. So I've lived in different parts of it. My first mountain cabin was paradise. But I moved away from there for personal reasons. And part of me still wishes I was there, but I'm here now. And it's like, well, there's practical advantages. You're just always juggling, you know, isolation and accessibility and whatever it might be. You know, I in my first cabin, I was exposed to the north wind because I had sea views and to the north. And so I was in the full face of the north wind. And that was difficult for like growing stuff, or just walking around, because you just be like picked off, you know, your feet. So, you know, this place is, in terms of orientation, is better. So I've learned a lot these past 6 years that I've been in Spain.
And this is your cell signal that you're going to talk to us. So apparently it's pretty strong. You must have a tower pretty close by or something.
Strongest signal I've had in any place that I've lived in Spain. This is the strongest signal I've had. Yeah.
All right, stay put. Wow. Any other questions? Let me see if we have anybody have a question. I have one that's been on my mind. We're going to kind of get back to MS. I don't know if you wanted to go back there, but nobody knows the answers to these questions. The doctors obviously don't know. They just know how to prescribe and diagnose, and they don't even know what they're talking about when it comes to MS. But we know that cholesterol is part of the building process for myelin, for the myelin sheathing and everything. Yeah. And when we eat a carnivore diet, our cholesterol tends to rise. Do you think there's a connection there with your healing and having more meat and cholesterol? Have you had your cholesterol tested before and after? Just curious.
I've had my cholesterol tested after I started it. I can't remember my numbers though, but my neurologist was like, "This is bad," and circled it.
That's all they say. That's all they know.
He wrote it in English as well. "This is bad." I still remember. It's quite funny.
It's actually good.
It's actually good. Exactly.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I'm not sure I agree with that. But it's hard not to make the connection between cholesterol and myelin sheathing and MS. Absolutely. I don't know. Right. I don't know. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there's an obvious connection and an obvious result. So, you know, I know correlation doesn't equal causation, right, but also correlation deserves investigation. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
and N equal 1 is the most powerful study anybody could ever do, and everybody who talks about having MS and going carnivore and going into remission, there you go. I mean, you can't argue with that person, with that one person.
That's it. When you find out, but when you have the experience yourself, that's one thing, and that is, you know, that's pretty powerful. Undeniable. When you find out, I can see the connections Oh, it's back again. When you hear that other people have had the same experience, like Diane, you know, she and I have talked and she's had the same experience, and that's powerful. You know, we're like, okay, the experience in itself is undeniable to the one experiencing it.
Exactly.
But when you hear someone else with the same story and the same result, that is seriously powerful.
And someone watching this video or any of the videos with Diane who's going through it right now and has MS and is suffering, maybe in a wheelchair right this minute, maybe on their knees in the shower right this minute, and they watch this video, maybe they'll try carnivore.
Maybe. I hope so. It's worth trying. That's what
is.
I'd say. That's what I'd say.
Okay, we have a question here. This is from A. Mason, Y3I. How long were you keto, then carnivore before all or most MS symptoms left you? Thank you.
Well, I went straight from high carb, virtually no meat, to carnivore. I didn't go keto first.
Okay.
And it was within a month that the symptoms left me and the strength returned.
I wonder if the lack of plant toxins also plays a role in this as well. We don't know.
The lack of plant toxins.
Yeah. If you cut out
Oh,
all
you mean
plants,
after going
for your MS symptoms, not only the cholesterol, but the lack of plant toxins, the complete amino acids, the fatty, the omega-3 fatty acids in the lamb you're eating, or the sheep, the goat, that's huge for the brain as well.
I think sugar elimination as well is massive
Sugar elimination
for inflammation, because in MS is inflammation. You know, it's an inflammation thing. Disorder, I guess. And the reason I moved to the mountain was to reduce inflammation. I just didn't understand that my diet was causing it as well. So it was like the piece of the puzzle that I hadn't addressed. But yeah, I had already seen some improvements because my environment was less inflammatory for various reasons. I would include in that Wi-Fi, to be honest, cell phone, because I had made a connection to that before I moved to Spain. That's another thing which I've experienced, you know, within my body that it's hard for me to deny. I know it's hard for other people to wrap their heads around or believe. And so I tend to not talk about that because there's so much kickback reaction to that. But I experienced that as a form of inflammation. There's other forms as well, like stress, heat, lights. You know, when you're very, very weak. Can you be quiet? When you're in a weakened state with something like MS, you're very, very sensitive to everything.
Susceptible, right?
So, yeah. And so I just needed to be in a place where I was able to heal or, you know, reduce the amount of stressors on my system. But I didn't know that sugar was a stressor on my system. I'm adamant that it's not, that it's in part the presence of nutrient dense fuel and fat in particular and cholesterol in particular, but also the elimination of inflammatory things like plant toxins and sugar.
Right. What you take out is as important or more important. Yeah, what we remove.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Definitely, yeah. I would say, yeah.
Okay, Rebecca, Lainey has a comment stroke suggestion. She says, living in the beef part of Spain, is beef belly readily available? And they have recently discovered that we buy beef belly from Ireland and we cut it very fine and turn it into beef bacon. It's very fatty and you can treat it like bacon. So it's kind of a tip from Lainey. If you're able to get beef belly and you miss your bacon, or they don't make good bacon there, then you can actually create your own from beef belly. So
beef belly, I don't know. I don't know what would the name of that be in Spanish. That wouldn't be
it would be the belly of the cow, wouldn't it? It would del something vat. Is it vat? No.
Vaca is cow, but well, they call it vacuno when it's beef. But
so you're looking for belly del vacuno, really? I suppose, yeah.
I'll look into it. Yeah, I'll look into it. Thank you.
It was actually our great friends Lydia and Tom Powell who introduced us to it. They have a carnivore base up in Kent, It was where we had the December the 8th meeting when Dr. Kiltz came over, and they actually provided beef bacon, and that sold it on us. We discovered it was from
interesting.
a company called I Devour in Ireland, and we've got a constant flow of beef belly coming in, which lady cuts up with a really sharp. You've got to have a really good knife, but it's our go-to. It's always cold in the fridge. It's kind of our go-to if the carnivore snack, if you know what I mean. So, or for the breakfast, or however you want to eat it. So it's just a tip from Lainey. If you miss it,
I will look into it. 100%. Yeah.
Bacon, have a look at the possibility of making your own beef bacon. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we have a question from John Together Strong. And you kind of answered this a little bit earlier, but I think he's asking something a little different. While having MS, were you bound to a wheelchair? I remember you said you were. And how long did it take for you to step out of that wheelchair?
I was not wheelchair bound.
I
was using a wheelchair.
You were using it.
Yeah, I think it's an important distinction because I didn't have to use it. It dawned on me one day, oh my God, I could be using a wheelchair. It would make my life so much easier because it was so exhausting doing anything. Like there was a point where it was like getting from the living room to the kitchen to make a cup of tea was exhausting.
Here's a question that I've always had about MS. Okay, you said you could walk at the time, but using the wheelchair made things easier. What did it feel like? Were the muscles cramping? Were they painful? Or was it hard for your brain to tell your muscles to move? Like what was going on? How was the MS affecting that?
Okay, so different people will experience different things because you might have an issue where you literally physically can't walk. You might have a nerve failure to your legs where you physically you are wheelchair bound. In my case, it was more to do with fatigue. And fatigue is not just sleepiness. It's not just tiredness. It's like full systemic collapse. And it like everything felt really tender, really fragile. I felt like I was sort of 80 years old. And I just was on the I was just it was just sometimes just reaching out in front of you and picking something up was
exhausting.
Was exhausting. And the other thing was it was about managing your energy quota for the day, which could be more or less because your days would fluctuate. Some days you might have a slightly better day. That's when I'd have a shower. Other days you might not be able to get out of bed at all. Wow. But what it is, they talk in terms of spoons. It's called spoon theory, which I never really vibed with, but they talk about spoons. Like you have a certain number of spoons per day and you have to use those spoons wisely, because if you use too many spoons doing one thing, you'll be exhausted for the rest of the day. So it's called post-exertional malaise. So you have to be very mindful that even though you can do something, should you? Because what are you going to do later? Will you have enough spoons left to do that thing later? And it was a constant juggling act of which other people didn't understand and couldn't see, because they would see, and that was part of the problem, to be honest. The whole thing was just this another existence, another dimension of existence that I just can't believe I've experienced, and my heart goes out to anybody who's in that state now. It's just something that is, you have to live it to fully grasp what it is and what it does to your life. But yeah, you have to think like, oh, I need to go to the supermarket later, and so it's like your whole day builds up to that, and then you have to rest afterwards because you get a fatigue payback. So the wheelchair came into the picture because I went to visit a museum in London with a friend, the British Museum, to see the Sumerian and Egyptian stuff there, whatever. I'm really passionate about ancient Egyptian and Sumerian stuff. So I was like, my friend said, oh, let's go have a nice day out in London. So I was like, oh, I don't know if I have the energy, but sure, let's go. So we took the train to London. And then we got to the museum, and then I was like, I can't walk around this museum. Like, I'm too exhausted from the journey. Like, I'll just sit here. You said to my friend, you go and see all of these things. And she said, Rebecca, why don't you just grab a wheelchair? Because there was all these wheelchairs in the entrance to the museum. And I was like, oh, well, that would be amazing. So go on. So she got me a wheelchair, and it was the first time I used a wheelchair, and I freaking loved it. I loved it. I was like zooming around, the big grin on my face, and like everybody, it was crazy because I also realized that if you come up to like one of the exhibits, George, you'll appreciate this. It was the Rosetta Stone.
Wow.
You know about the Rosetta Stone?
Yeah.
It's like the first moment that people could translate cuneiform text because it was against hieroglyphs and whatever. It was fascinating. I was like, oh my God, I got to see this. And I went up to it in the wheelchair, and like all the people just stepped back.
Because you're in a wheelchair, right? You get the first of everything, the priority, right?
I was like, oh my God, I didn't expect that. And so, you know, some people are like, have strange feelings about wheelchairs, understandably, but I loved it. I was like, this is going to make my life so much better. I was like, I need to get one of these. This is going to mean I'm mobile. This is going to mean I can actually go around and do stuff. So that's how I felt about the wheelchair.
Okay.
But yeah, I wasn't confined to one. I mean, maybe I'd have felt differently about it if I was confined to it. For me, it was just an aid, a mobility aid, which once the penny dropped that I was a candidate for one, I was just extremely grateful that they existed and I had this option. But yeah, in terms of the second part of the question was how long did it take me to get out of it? I didn't take it with me to Spain. It's actually here. I do have it here in Spain now. It did make its way over eventually. But when I moved to Spain and I was on the mountain, I was using a cane. I took a cane with me, but I was on this mission to get my stamina back and to not be using a wheelchair. And so I did achieve that before I started the diet. I managed to not be as bad, but my environment had changed. A lot of my inflammation had reduced because of the environment change, and I also was outside in the sunshine exercising. I maintain that these things are as important as the diet, or maybe second to the diet, but they're part of living well, living healthily. Things like sun exposure, grounding, exercise alongside the diet, fasting, like there's elements of the lifestyle, the carnivore lifestyle, which are I think of it as ancestral, being close to nature and away from a lot of the stresses or toxicity of the modern age. Like I feel like that did get me some way towards healing, and then the carnivore diet was the final piece of the picture. So I wonder, would it have had the same impact if I had started the diet back in the city, back in Birmingham, where I was before? I wonder. I don't know. But in my case, it was a very sudden change. And I wonder if that is because I'd already got some way there with my other lifestyle changes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The sunlight, the grounding, the fasting, the stress reduction, all of that. It's not a large part of this is food. It is what we put in our mouth, but it is all the other things combined. And sleep, getting good sleep.
Yeah.
Your vitamin D was improved because of the sunshine and the sleep and the recovery, and your hormones are more balanced because of the sleep and the grounding. It really does all come together in the package. So, I'm so happy for you. This is wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's great.
Thank you.
Good for you. Thanks for sharing your story. Gosh, anybody else have a question? I see
I'm
something.
music. I was just about to tell Rebecca, I didn't realize just how interested you were in ancient Egypt stuff. As you know, I'm an Arabic linguist, and I have studied in Alex University. I worked in Cairo, and Lady and myself did the grand tour of Egypt in 2011. So afterwards, off screen, I will contact you, and if you fancy maybe even doing a video about it, or we could probably turn out quite a good interview. I'll catch you afterwards if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Rebecca.
sure. Yeah, I love all that.
Something I didn't know about you, so very interesting.
So I was going to read what John said. John said, I'll put that on the screen so we could see it here. He said, I followed Dr. Terry Wall's journey for years. She has an amazing journey and story with MS. She was a pioneer in the research of MS. And, a lot of us know someone with MS. And so, we can share a YouTube page or your journey with them, and maybe they'll plant the seed and they'll think about going carnivore. Yeah.
Yeah, the Wall's protocol is actually quite meat heavy, but it also involves other things. Like it's kind of more keto, and it's very specific. And when I was struggling with MS, I found it too complicated. I didn't follow it. I'd heard of it because it's very well known. But I found it too, like with the brain fog that I was struggling with, I was just like, I can't think about that. Maybe it would have helped. I followed a diet called the OMS diet, the Overcoming Multiple Sclerosis diet, which was more straightforward, but it didn't have any discernible impact on my health. But I do think carnivore, I wonder whether now I might look into the Walls Protocol and see how it compares to carnivore. I'd be interested.
I'm curious. Well, I'm curious. How is it different than carnivore? You said it has some keto, maybe has some plants involved with it.
Yeah, it's got like berries and I think some leafy greens involved. You know, I can't remember off the top of my head, but like it's quite strict and it's quite specific about what it includes and the reasons why it includes
and
it.
I would like to see the reasons because to include a plant toxin, right? Because plants are medicine. I mean, plants can be used if we could measure specifically what we're getting from a specific plant and we know the dose. That's where medicine comes from, most of it. So I mean, there is an argument for plants as medicinal purposes to help people. That's probably the angle they're using with this protocol.
Maybe, yeah.
So we're coming to the top of the hour here. We have about 4 minutes left. It just flew by because Rebecca, you've been a wonderful guest. Thank you for sharing your story. It is invaluable. I know it will be to many people who are listening. And on the replay, we often forget that these go further after we finish. Days later, and hundreds of people have watched the show, and so we're touching people's lives and helping people. Let's go around and tell us where we can find you and your work, and we'll end with you, Rebecca. So we'll start with Juliet.
Hello. Yes, my YouTube channel is Coach Juliet Edens, and you can find me here. My website is coachjulietedens.com. And ta-da, John, you forgot.
If you were going to stop for a second, I was going to say, you have a new channel? You have a new channel?
Yes. Real briefly, I'm not abandoning my current channel. I love it. I do lots of lives. It's carnivore. It's symptom-based. It's fun for me. It's just where my heart is. But in my business, Coach Juliet Edens, and the clients I work with, I started a new channel and it's just Juliet Edens, not just Juliet Edens. And it's more for women 40 and above. And I focus on metabolic health, metabolism, nutrition, the whole gamut. And it's brand new. And so far it's been a really fun adventure. I won't be doing any lives or anything, just a couple of videos a week. So if that's the type of channel that interests you, I don't want you to abandon me here. But if you're more into you're a woman 40, 50, 60, more into you want to hear more about metabolism and tips and tricks that aren't necessarily diet related, you could check it out. I'd really appreciate it.
And this is on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll see if I can.
All right, I'm going to put it in the show notes. I just wrote it down, so I'll make sure I add it to the show notes. And Rebecca, all right, we'll go over to me, and then we'll end up with Rebecca. So I'm Carnivore Teacher Alpha. I usually wear the shirt with the name on it. I don't have that today. And I'm on YouTube, and I also forward those videos to Facebook and Instagram and Threads and a couple of other places I forget. And Carnivore Sunday School. I do a live on Monday evening called Monday Night Live, where we talk about different topics. I published a couple of books. My last book is about plant toxins. It's called Beyond Oxalates, The Complete Guide to Plant Toxins. I have 2 other books before that as well. You can find those in the show notes, and they're also on Audible. So my goal is to just pay it forward and to teach what I've learned, and I keep learning. I keep learning more and more and more from folks like you, Rebecca and George and Juliet. Everyone has a story, and everyone is a teacher, and we can all learn from one another. George?
Absolutely, yeah. So the best place to find me is on Facebook. You will find me under George Goodenough. You can't miss my profile picture because it's me and Dr. Kiltz at Heathrow, smiling into the camera. So if you don't recognize me, you will recognize Dr. Kiltz, I feel sure. Perhaps my biggest news tonight is that I'm going to change roles here within the Carnivore Sunday School setup. It's been 9 months when I've been front of house every night, apart from one when I was in Wyoming. So with John's permission, I'm taking a step back more onto the replacement bench, shall we say, more of the backroom staff. This is mainly because this goes out at 6 p.m. on a Sunday evening. And Lainey and myself would like to have a little bit more time on a Sunday evening to relax over dinner and just basically have an early night. So that's the reason behind. But I'm not going anywhere, because we're still going to need to find people. We're still going to need to put people in. We're still going to have ideas for the shows, and Juliet and John are still going to have the occasional week off. And when that week comes off, you can expect to see the replacement come on, and that replacement will be me. So yes, I'm not actually leaving Sunday school, far from it. I am just taking on a slightly different role. So it's been a great fun ever since we started in June of last year, when it was myself and John, and our guest was Stephanie. And before she virtually took over the show. She had a very good run, and then Juliet kindly stepped in for Stephanie when she needed to go away for her own health reasons. And I know I'm not leaving the show, but the show is in very, very safe hands. So thank you everybody for all your support over the last 9 months. Please continue to do so, and I'll still be around. Thank you.
That leaves me. So
Yes,
this
Rebecca.
is my YouTube channel, Cabana Chronicles, or Cabana Chronicles, because it won't let me have the Enye, the squiggle over the N. Cabana Chronicles is my YouTube channel, and I just talk about my general health journey, mostly about the focus is carnivore diet, but it also is moving into topics of like homesteading and things like that, and just general healing. So it's just it's kind of more personal than information share. Like I don't give out like scientific information or medical things like that. It's more just sort of my life. But that's it. That's basically my entire social media presence. Is my channel.
All right, that's great. Cabana, Cabana Chronicles, CHRON.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that in the show notes as well. When we finish these lives, I go in and I add the guests' information. So check that in just a few minutes after we finish the show, and you all will see the links to everybody. You'll see George's links, Juliet's links, my links, everybody. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you next Sunday. Can't wait to see you then.
Bye,
Thanks for
everybody.
coming. Take care.
Thank you.